Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial regarding Gradle build scans on Android. This is part 1 where we will do the setup and a brief introduction into what build scans are. So you might be wondering, what exactly is a build scan? A build scan is a representation of the data captured when you run your build. And the thing you need to realize about what a build scan is that it's shareable and it's a centralized record that gives you insights into what happened to your build and why. So an example is if you run your build and it failed, the build scan will give you insights into why that particular build failed. Or if your build is taking a pretty long time to run, if you look into your build scan, you can get insights into why that is the case. And once you apply the build scan plugin to your project, these specific records are published to scans.gradle.com for free. So this is a free service that the Gradle team offers to us. So what are the benefits of build scans? For starters, there's the self-service debugging. So certain teams have build engineers who are responsible for the build, others don't. So regardless of your team structure, you can quickly find the problems and solve them yourself before even reaching out to people for help. It can help you slow up slow builds in that when you dive into the insights of your project's builds, you can optimize the places that are slow and ensure that your builds run fast, and this in the long term improves developer productivity. And finally, there's the creation of collaboration, where you can simply share a link of a build scan to the rest of your team, and you can quickly be able to collaborate on the problem at hand. This favors teams that are remote, and in the current times that we're living in, I'm sure most engineers been forced to work remotely, and this helps encourage collaboration and speedy solving of problems. All right, and with that, we can get started by going to scans.gradle.com to integrate build scans into our project. Before we get started, I'd like to highlight this project. It's called Fastlane Droid. This is a 4-part series that I've been working on regarding automating your Android build and release process using Fastlane and Circle CI. If you're interested, you can go through this series just to get a better understanding of how this project is set up. But disclaimer, this is not necessary to understanding Gradle build scans. So you can just pick up from here with Gradle build scans. But if you're interested in the inner workings, especially of how to automate the build process and also deploy to Firebase app distribution and the Play Store, you can check out especially part 4 of this project. All right, that being said, we can get straight into build scans. And as you can see here, build scans can be applied to both Gradle and Maven builds. But for our project, we'll be using Gradle build. So I'll just click in here, navigate to the top where it says getting set up. And it gives you instructions for Gradle 6 and on and Gradle 5. So if I just switch here real quick and look at our Gradle wrapper properties, you can see our Gradle version is 5.4.1 and our Android Gradle plugin is 3.5.1. So we just need to keep that in mind. So that being said, we will do the setup for Gradle 5. And it says here that we should apply the build scan plugin to the root project build.gradle file, which is what we'll do. So we'll just copy this. Actually, we'll copy both of these. So that's the plugin and the Gradle enterprise closure. So we'll come back here to the root level build.gradle, which is this, I believe. Yes, it is. And we'll just come right above all projects and paste that in there. And back to the documentation, I'd like us to read through something. It says the plugin is configured via the Gradle Enterprise extension of the root project in project builds. But one thing you need to realize is prior to version 3.2 of this plugin, we used to use the build scan extension directly. So instead of the Gradle Enterprise extension that we see here, we would just say build scan and put our configuration in here. But since the 3.2, and as you can see here, we're using 3.34, you have to use Gradle Enterprise.build scan. So this build scan is available inside Gradle Enterprise. All right, so the next step that we will do is connecting to the scans.gradle.com, which is this. And as you can see, inside now the Gradle Enterprise closure, we're populating the build scan. And there's just a few things to notice. So you need to pass in the terms of service URL, and you need to agree to the terms of service if you don't agree to the terms of service, anytime you run a build scan, it'll ask you to interactively accept these terms of agreement. Otherwise, the build scan won't successfully be published to the server. So it's just good practice to pass in the terms of agreement so that it can automatically agree to this terms of service. And this is good especially for your CI builds. So I'll just copy this build scan and just put it into our project. Just put it here under configuration. There we go. So the next step that we will look into is controlling when build scans are published. So I'll just click on that. And of particular focus for us is publishing for every build. So regardless of whether it's a local build or a CI build, my desire is to be able to publish our build scans all the time. So I'll just copy this right here and paste it into our build scan that we have in our project. There we go. And with that, we can sync the project. All right, great. So the project synced successfully. And what we're going to do next is to run our build scan locally first, and then finally run it successfully on our CI build. So when we look at the documentation, as you can see here, you can actually publish your build scan on demand. And all you need to do is to run your gradle task and append -- scan at the end. And that's what we're going to do for our local build. So when we switch back to Android Studio, open our terminal, you can see this gradle task here, assemble dev debug -- scan. So I'll just hit enter and let that run for a bit. And once it's done, you will see the successfully published build scan. All right, as you can see, the build was successful. And as you can see, the build scan was published to that URL right there. So if I click on it, it'll navigate back to the browser and it'll open the build scan. So if you can see a screen similar to this and you followed all the steps, congratulations, you have published your first build scan. And in the next tutorial, we will dive deeper into the build scan just to understand the structure of your build and whether there are certain areas that we can optimize. So this is the build scan for local build. What we're going to do next is generate a build scan for our CI builds. And what we're going to do is commit these changes that we have here and push them to GitHub, and then that will trigger our build process on CI. So I'll just simply commit these changes. All I did was click Command 9, Command K to launch this particular window. And all I'll do here is just write a commit message, add build scan. And I'll do a commit and push. All right, as you can see, our branch was pushed successfully to GitHub. So if I switch back and go in here, I can see this new branch that has come in less than a minute ago. When I click on it, I can see this orange dot. So when I click on it, I can see that my tests are now currently running. So if I switch to Circle CI, you can see this particular workflow. And something you need to keep in mind is for our setup, whenever we make changes to a branch and we push that branch to GitHub, this triggers a workflow where your unit tests and instrumentation tests are run. So this is what's going to happen. I'll just let this run for a bit, and once it's done, we will dig in and I'll show you where to access the build scans for the two jobs, your test unit job and your test instrumentation job. All right, as we can see, both the test jobs are successful, and now I will show you how to find the build scans in them. So we'll start with the test unit job. Let me just open that in another tab. And underneath running unit tests, when we click on that, you'll see once your unit tests have run successfully, there's this part here, publishing build scan, and this is the URL of the build scan for your unit test. So when I click go to build scan, oh, it'll need me to activate that. So let me just activate the build scan and be right back. So once you type in your email and click activate, it sends the build scan to your email. And once I switch here, you'll see that the build scan is sent to your email address, and once I click discover your build, you'll have access to your build. So this was for your unit test, right? And as you can see, this is the name of the particular test, or rather the particular task that was run, and this is the build scan for unit tests. I can do the same for instrumented tests. So I'll just switch back to the pipeline, open a new tab for instrumentation tests. After it's loaded, we'll come down here to where it says run instrumented tests, and you should see it somewhere. Just give me a second. Here we go, publishing build scan. So if I click on this, I think the process will be the same. So I'll just open, it'll tell me to put in my email address. Oh, but for this one, it seems to have already authorized. So as you can see here, this is the task for running your instrumented test. As you can see, assemble, dev, debug, Android test. This for your instrumented tests, and that is different from the one for unit tests that we have here. Test dev, debug for our unit tests. All right, so if you've gotten this far, congratulations. You have been able to set up build scans to run in your projects. In the next tutorial, we will dive deeper into these build scans, just trying to understand better our builds, get more insights about our builds, and see whether we can do certain things like improve our build speeds. Because as you know, for running our tests, especially our instrumented tests, this process does take a bit of time. As you can see here, it takes about 6 minutes to complete. And for our unit tests, these are quick, it takes 58 seconds. So we'll see whether we can do something to improve build times around the instrumented tests. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.